And coming up tonight on India Matters, we're starting with a precursor to what promises to be a ferocious election season. The question we're asking tonight, on the back of an absolute spate of comments coming in from senior leaders who happen to be from the Muslim community in the Congress party, does the Congress party face a Muslim League revolt or a Muslim rebellion within the party? Or are these just leaders who are frustrated and pointing an angry finger at Rahul Gandhi? It's important because you've got states like Kerala, Bengal, Assam that have sizable Muslim populations coming up. So is this going to be a problem for Rahul Gandhi? Story number 2, Make in India passenger jets in India for the first time ever. The Adani Group and Brazil's Embraer have unveiled what promises to be a game changer for India's aviation ecosystem. From Shakil Ahmed to Tariq Anwar to Rashid Alvi to Mumtaz Patel, daughter of Ahmed Patel, a question is beginning to hang in the air that the Congress party cannot simply brush aside any longer. Is this coincidence or is this a pattern? I'm asking tonight. Leader after leader, many of them senior Muslim faces of the party, are pointing in the same direction and saying broadly the same things about Rahul Gandhi. That he is unapproachable, it is impossible to get him to agree on ideas, that he listens only to a small coterie, that there is no institutional space for dialogue, and even according to some of them, that Muslim leaders in particular feel ignored, marginalized, or taken for granted, which is almost unthinkable in the Congress party, which has always been considered the natural party for the Muslim community to vote. Now, some go further and warn that the vacuum this creates is being filled by others, that when the Congress looks distant or disengaged, it creates political oxygen for outfits like Asaduddin Owaisi's AIMIM to grow, as it has in recent elections. That is not an ordinary complaint when the pattern of lament comes from leaders belonging to a community that the Congress has always assumed will never dither or abandon it. It is a warning to the Congress ahead of elections in places like Assam and Kerala, where the Muslim vote is by no means marginal and the Congress isn't a side player. So what is really going on here? Is the Congress facing a Muslim problem? Is it as serious as that? Or is it facing a leadership problem like it has for many years, that Muslim leaders are simply articulating more openly at this time? Because let us be very clear tonight before the elections, viewer, these complaints are not unique to Muslim leaders. That must be said. For years, Congress leaders across regions and communities have spoken about Rahul Gandhi's brand of leadership, about centralized decision-making, about the coterie, about the broken feedback loops and a high command culture that shuts out the old guard, dissent and ground-level inputs. It is reflected in the Congress's disastrous electoral performance for many years now. The difference now tonight, however, is that Muslim leaders, many of them very senior, are now saying it out loud and doing so publicly. That in itself holds significance in a party that has famously been accused of making appeasement second nature. What complicates this picture is voter data. Post-election surveys from 2024 suggest that the Congress has actually improved its support among Muslim voters nationally. That does not support the argument of voter abandonment. So those crying foul and saying Muslims are abandoning the Congress, the data does not support that at all. The votes, at least for now, are still coming to the Congress party, which leads to the real issue. This may not be about votes at all. It may be about voice, about representation, about who gets heard and who gets access. If a section that the Congress has, without any doubt, shown more largesse to, begins to poke holes in the high command, then you can bet your last buck there is a real problem. And that is the harder issue for the Congress before these elections, because votes can hold for a while on habit and fear, but voice, once denied for too long, eventually finds another platform.
जब राहुल गांधी जी जिस दिन अपना पहला चुनाव जीते, उस दिन मैं अपना 5वां चुनाव जीता। मैं उनसे 19 साल पहले एमपी एमएलए हो गया। तो जाहिर है कि ऐसे लोगों को राहुल जी की एक होता है, आदमी का इनबिल्ट कुछ होता है, वो जिसके साथ बैठने में उनको ये नहीं लगता है कि हमको ये बॉस मानता हो, उस आदमी के साथ बैठने में मेरे ख्याल में ही इज अनकंफर्टेबल, वो सहज नहीं है उनके साथ।
कांग्रेस पार्टी में एक बड़ी परेशानी ये है कि यहाँ पे कोई फोरम ही नहीं जिस पे बात की जा सके। आमतौर से नेताओं से मिलना मुश्किल है लोगों का, तो बात कोई कहे तो कहाँ कहेगा। CWC के तो मेंबर है नहीं कोई आदमी, और कोई दूसरा फोरम है नहीं, किससे बात कही जाए। बात तो तब कही जाए जब मुलाकात हो, ये मुश्किल है।
ऐसा ये देखिए कि मैं महाराष्ट्र में था, मुझे मंत्री बनाया गया था, 2-2.5 साल ये मंत्री था, लेकिन मुझे बड़ा रिस्पेक्ट दिया गया। सोनिया जी ने बड़े बड़े रिस्पेक्ट दिया मुझे, राज्यसभा में 2 बार लिया। तो मेरी कुछ निजी तकरार कोई नहीं है, निजी कंप्लेंट कोई नहीं है। मेरा कहना ऐसा है कि मुसलमानों के ऊपर हल्ला जब होता है तो डट के कांग्रेस ने खड़ा रहना चाहिए, कार्यकर्ताओं को कहना चाहिए कि उनके साथ खड़े रहो, ये होता नहीं।
And while the Congress hasn't formally reacted to all of these senior Muslim Neta voices criticizing Rahul Gandhi, a senior member of parliament, Manikam Tagore, has hit out, and he has used language that most people would have thought unthinkable in the Congress. Here's what he said about these netas.
इस साल का बैच ऑफ जयचंद और बैच ऑफ बिट्रायर्स स्टार्ट हो गए, और हमारा शकील भाई और वो बीएसपी का एक पुराना नेता राशिद भाई, उसमें वो दोनों शामिल हुए हैं। पहले बैच ऑफ बिट्रायर्स में बैच ऑफ जयचंद का इनका अनाप शनाप बोलना है, और बीजेपी में एक आदमी ऐसे अनाप शनाप बोल के मुख्यमंत्री बन गया, हिमंत बिश्व शर्मा। उसी चक्कर में सारे लोग लगे रहते हैं। वहाँ अनएम्प्लॉयड का लोग बहुत लोग लगे हुए हैं, यहाँ से बहुत लोग छोड़ के चले गए थे, वहाँ MP भी नहीं बन पा रहे, MLA भी नहीं बन पा रहे। वैसे ही अनएम्प्लॉयड लिस्ट वहाँ खाली है। इसलिए हम लोगों का ये जयचंद का बारे में और ये बैच ऑफ 2026 का बैच ऑफ बिट्रेस का बारे में बात करना सही नहीं है।
Now, there is no communal profiling here in all of these reactions and comments coming in. But when you are heading into election season, one senses a pattern of one Muslim leader after another saying alarmingly similar thing about what's going on in the Congress. And you've just heard one of them even say that Muslim leaders are feeling alienated. So this is something that is worth exploring tonight. Just take a look at this information, this sort of rundown of how several leaders have been coming out and speaking out. Shakil Ahmed quit the Congress after the Bihar elections. He said it's impossible to meet Rahul Gandhi. This man was a loyalist, an ultra-loyalist even of the Congress High Command. Rasheed Alvi, senior leader, he says something that is very, very troubling, and he's a leader who in some ways is a motor mouth but also taken seriously. Congress ignoring Muslim leaders. Then you've got Naseemuddin Siddiqui, who quit the Congress, who said he's unhappy over no role in the party. Hussain Dalwai, Maharashtra Congress leader, still with the party, says Muslim issues are being ignored. Then you've got a senior leader like Tariq Anwar, who's an MP from Bihar. He has slammed Rahul Gandhi's choices during the Bihar election with choosing the people who were in charge of ticket distribution. Mumtaz Patel, who clarifies that she has no active role in the Congress party. She is, but however, party royalty in some ways because she is Ahmed Patel's daughter, says no internal democracy in the Congress in her interview to me. So all of these are senior faces, leaders / netas of the Congress party. They happen to be from the Muslim community, but all of them saying the same thing around the same time raises very serious questions. But here's the even more important point. There are elections ahead for the Congress party to actually prove itself. And this is bad optics ahead of this election season. I'll tell you why. Kerala, for instance, has a 27% Muslim population. In 2021, 58% voted for the Congress party. Assam has 34% Muslim population. In 2021, that is the last assembly election, 81% voted for the Congress party. These are huge percentages that the Congress enjoys, and therefore it cannot be jeopardized, which is why the words being used by some of these leaders is worth taking note of. Here's some more data. vis-a-vis the Congress and the Muslim community. In 2019, the Congress party had 34 Muslim candidates in the Lok Sabha elections. In 2024, tellingly, it has only 19 Muslim candidates. Here's some more in terms of vote share. In 2019, 33%. In 2024, 38%. So what all of these figures basically show is that the Muslim vote bank, and I dislike that phrase because I never see it as one monolithic voting entity, but the way parties see it, the way the electorate in many ways see it, the way number crunchers and pundits see it, is that the Muslim community is very much still with the Congress party, which is now why people like Rasheed Alvi saying Muslim leaders are feeling alienated, Hussain Dalwai saying Muslim issues are being alienated and ignored by the Congress party, and all of this with a finger pointing directly in the direction of Rahul Gandhi. Let's talk about this for a moment because, like I said, election season means these things cannot simply be brushed aside. Joining me live, T.S. Singh Deo, former Deputy Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh and a senior Congress leader, Rasheed Kidwai, senior journalist and author, Dr. Akriti Bhatia is a political analyst, and Tuhin Sinha is national spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Deo, I'll come to you first, sir. Your senior party colleague, Manikam Tagore, has described Rasheed Alvi, Shakil Ahmed, Tariq Anwar, Hussain Dalwai as a batch of Jaychands, basically branding them as traitors, which is unexpectedly harsh language. I want to know, how this is not a formal Congress party comment, but how do you see this, sir? I have no wish to profile and say that this is a Muslim revolt or a Muslim issue within the party, but it so happens that you can't ignore the fact that you've got a series of Muslim leaders pointing at Rahul Gandhi and saying he's going wrong. Some of them are saying that the Muslims are being ignored within the party. Mr. Deo.
Good evening to you,
Good evening,
Shivji, and good evening to all the panelists, and good evening to all the viewers. As far as Rahul ji and as such the clubbed Muslims are concerned, or their representation is concerned, I am really not in a position to speak on behalf of the Congress party, as I am not a spokesperson, but you've asked me to join the panel, so more or less as an individual who is a member of the Congress party, I am here. My experience in the process of, let us say, either the selection of candidates or the view that I may perceive Rahul ji holds is very, very clearly, and I am saying it without any ifs and buts, is that representation to various sections of society must be ensured. And the Muslim community happens to be one section of our society. And even in, so maybe I shouldn't be saying it, as a member of the Central Election Committee, I am relating to you my personal experience, which doesn't come out in the media, where Rahul ji is extremely sensitive to these issues. Nobody talks about it, nobody mentions it. But since you've asked me to join you all today, I can tell you of my direct personal experience as a person sitting in that meeting. It'll never be out.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that he states more than once in a series of meetings regarding a state, have you looked into this? Have you looked into this? Look into this. He doesn't push beyond a point except of trying to make his view very clear that this is what he's thinking. Then he doesn't impose it, is my experience. He mentions it. He wants it to be seen and reviewed. And then he leaves it to the collective wisdom of the committee which is present. But he mentions it very, very clearly, unequivocally.
Okay. I take your point, Mr. Deo. I appreciate you giving us that insight which we won't normally get. Which is why, in some ways, Rasheed, coming to you, this becomes an issue even more worth exploring in some ways. So the straight question to you, Rasheed, then is, does the Congress have the beginnings of a Muslim problem? Or is this just a, bunch of motor mouth, aging, frustrated netas looking for some space and finding any reason to lash out at the leadership.
So, Shiv, this so-called Muslim uprising, these people, many of the individuals that we are talking about, they're not even, Bahadur Shahs of, in the present-day Congress. There are many of them, actually, there is a bit of a paradox. The Muslims, as you were rightly saying in opening remarks, lean on the Congress, but not on Muslim leaders. So therefore, whether it was Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad or Tariq Ahmed Patel, they were not, representatives of the Muslim community. They were basically, the show boys, and they happened to be Muslim. But a lot of tokenism was there. Here, what you're showing in the screen is actually very baffling, and it should worry Mr. T.S. Singh Deo, because he's a senior and a very seasoned Congress leader, that a person who's a member secretary of the AICC's Declaratory Committee, that being Tariq Anwar, is sort of, crossing that Lakshman Rekha.
Yeah.
And therefore, there is the real problem in the Congress is the response mechanism or lack of it. So Rahul Gandhi may be having very pro-minorities, this thing, and minorities may be pro-Congress, etc. But it's a question of perception. And in perception, there is no redressal mechanism. Remember, Shiv, just last point from my side, this Rajya Sabha, elections are around the corner, and many of them, the aspirants, a legitimate aspiration, and when they think they're not getting in the shoes of Ahmed Patel and Ghulam Nabi Azad, then they feel frustrated. The Congress Rahul Gandhi cannot extend the patronage what Rajiv Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi could. And there lies the problem. So these people are using the Muslim bogie
Very interesting.
and to rattle the Congress leadership.
Mr. Deo, would you like to comment on that a Lakshman Rekha in some ways has been crossed when you have leaders like Tariq Anwar and Hussain Dalwai and Rashid Alvi saying that Muslims are being ignored in the party, Muslim issues are being ignored. One can understand frustration and irritation with, how your career is going. But these are almost blasphemous things to say within the Congress party, Mr. Deo.
I do not think there is a situation like this. The reality would be that the political games that have been going on through the past decades, pre-independence and post-independence, where we have seen pre-independence Muslim votes or constituencies coming to the Congress, going away from the Congress, again coming to the Congress, etc. Then we've had the situation pre the Ram Mandir agitation, where the BJP was reduced to a very small number representation in the Lok Sabha. Then the Ram Mandir started. And as a counter to that, once religion was picked up, Congress was always attempted to be put on the back foot by political maneuverings of, let us say, either the BJP or the opponents to make them defensive. How to cut the Congress from its base, how to cut the Congress from its, let us say, SC base, how to cut the Congress from its ST base, how to cut the Congress from its minority base, make them defensive. After the Ram Mandir, put up the Hindu point of view, make the Congress sort of defensive on this issue of appearing to be with somebody,
Yeah.
And I am very clear, my perception is very clear that within the Congress, the top leadership doesn't have two views about this. Those who are with the Congress, we support them. Because they are with the Congress, they may be Hindus, they may be Muslims, they may be Sikhs, they may be of any denomination, they may be of any caste or creed, etc. Priority number one, they are with us and they happen to belong to a particular segment of society. This is what I have seen within the Congress from the beginning. And all the machinations are within this game which is being played of how to keep those who are with you, whether they are minority or otherwise, and how to put the Congress on the defensive wherever there is a perceived, so to say, vote bank. Okay. Is Gujarat a vote bank because the Prime Minister is from from Gujarat? Caste, creed, etc.
But I take your point. Mr. Deo. But Rashid is smiling. Tuhin and Akriti, I'm coming to you right after this. Rashid was smiling. You want a quick reply on that?
I would again say, you see, for any political party, if a member secretary of the Central Party Disciplinary Committee, goes on the offensive and talks of, indiscipline, he himself indulged in sweating. That's a very serious matter.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
T.S. Singh Deo is not giving any importance to it, but it's a very serious development as I see it. That Mr. Tariq Anwar, who's a member secretary of AICC Central Deputy Committee, is going, is defying his own party line.
No, I agree with that. I'm going to try and explore that a little further because you've got two big elections coming up, Assam and Kerala, where you've got very large Muslim populations. And again, I don't want to profile this as a Congress versus Muslim kind of debate. It's not that at all, because the data suggests that things are fine as far as the Muslim quote-unquote vote bank is concerned. But Tuhin, how is the BJP seeing this? The BJP has been picking up many of these comments like Rasheed Alvi and Shakil Ahmed and Tariq Anwar, and the BJP is having a jolly good time pointing at the Congress and saying, you were supposed to be the party of the Muslims, and look at what your own leaders are saying now.
Well, good evening, Shiv. Good evening, everybody. I really feel sorry for the Congress party because in the last few years, the Congress party has gone all out to position itself as a modern day Muslim league. So while Revant Reddy openly says Congress mane Musalman, Musalman mane Congress, Sonia Gandhi writes numerous op-eds for Palestine, for the Palestine cause, while not writing at all about, the cause of Hindus in Bangladesh. And not once has any of the Congress members of parliament from Kerala spoken about the growing radicalization in the state or the numerous cases of love jihad. Despite that, today, Muslims tend to trust regional parties more than the Congress party. Despite that, in certain places where MIM is present, look at the performance in Maharashtra, for example. In at least 3 municipal corporations, MIM overwhelmingly scored more than Congress party. In Bihar, the whole of Bihar, Congress managed 6 seats, MIM managed 5 seats. So, the Congress seriously needs to introspect. Neither Hindus nor Muslims nor any segment of society today is willing to trust the Congress party. Having said that, there are 2 other issues. One, of course, Rahul Gandhi is generally inaccessible. So whether it was Milind Deora, who at the time of quitting blamed it on not finding a meeting with Rahul Gandhi, I don't think Shashi Tharoor has had a good meeting with him for the last many years now. But the other issue is, even till date, Congress party continues to back Muslims in Rajya Sabha. Look at Imran Pratapgarhi. At the cost of Pawan Khera, who has been defending Rahul Gandhi's blunders day in and day out, eventually they gave the ticket to Imran Pratapgarhi. So many of these leaders in the Congress party, who, whether it is Shakil Ahmed, probably they also wanted, Rajya Sabha tickets, which Congress is not willing to give it.
Okay.
So, but the moot point is that, Congress is paying the price for being the modern day Muslim League. Neither Hindus nor Muslims trust it right now.
Akriti, your take on this. Does the Congress have a Muslim problem? And once again, I want to, repeatedly give this disclaimer that this is not meant to be a kind of profiling exercise. It is meant to be a kind of exploration of where things stand before elections, where these things will really, really matter for the Congress.
Right, Shiv. So I find 2 very striking ironies in all of this. One is that you'll call the INC as Muslim pleasers. So this example clearly shows that that's not the case, right? If they are actually catering to different leaders in an equal way, and it's not about really who is getting internal meetings, it's about whose issues are being raised and stood for. And we have been seeing that the party has not only stood for minority rights, but also Dalits, Adivasis, women and workers. And we see that not just in the parliament, on the street and nationally, these issues have been raised. So it's not really about, these leaders specifically. Secondly, the irony about not having internal democracy and dissent. These people being able to come up publicly and voice criticisms, and many of them continuing in the party, again establishes that there is a lot of room for dissent, which exists, survives, and very much thrives in the party, where we've seen time and again senior leadership within the party often coming and criticizing about party functioning, organizational structure, accessibility issues, and so on. And if you take BJP, for example, we have many cases of how such leaders who would have any kind of, criticisms would be sidelined or silenced, and in some cases even expelled. So I therefore feel that this is not the tendencies towards undemocratization, but towards how the party actually listens to everyone.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that this actually proves the opposite. It proves that the Congress is actually democratic and has space for all these leaders, and it flies in the face of this theory that the Congress appeases Muslims, because if you've got a bunch of Muslim netas who are irritated about what's going on, it means that this whole appeasement label is quite faulty. But Mr. Deo, I want to move away from the Muslim aspect of this for a moment, because as Rasheed pointed out, what these leaders have pointed to is similar to what many other leaders before have also been saying, which is that there is a Rahul Gandhi problem. He's unapproachable. The old guard doesn't get any space. Is this really about the old guard, fearing that their space has shrunk within the party? It's not so much a Muslim issue within the party, but it's about not being on the same wavelength as Rahul Gandhi.
Shivji, I just met Rahul ji and come a couple of days back. So it is not as if you don't get time. Now, if I want to meet Rahul Gandhi ji every month, I must analyze for myself as a member of the Congress party as to how many such so-called leaders as myself would be there in the country who would be wanting to meet Rahul Gandhi ji within these 365 days. And how much time would he have to actually share with all of them? See, we can't expect to get time and again and again and again from a senior most leadership who are engaged in so many other responsibilities. Here is one individual who is getting all the flack and very little of the credit whenever it comes around. He's going around in the country as the leader of the opposition, doing his duty as the leader of the opposition, a representative of the Congress party. He is a representative of a Lok Sabha seat where he has to go periodically amongst his voters and be present there. He has to look after his attendance, which is questioned in Parliament. He would have other commitments even abroad, which is again questioned and talked about. So how many days in a year? And he would need some time for home, for himself.
I take your point. So you're saying that leaders can't be expecting to have automatic access to Rahul Gandhi, but somewhere, Mr. Deo, and I'll bring Rasheed in on this, that this is a kind of common thread that leaders across the board, including the famous or infamous, I should say, G23 had, as far as Rahul Gandhi, the coterie culture around him, how the more experienced old guard have been kind of sidelined. Is there no truth at all in this? I take Mr. Deo's point very well. For every example, Rasheed, of 5 leaders who are ranting about not having access to Rahul Gandhi and him steering the Congress in the other direction, you have leaders like Mr. Deo saying, stop going after him for everything. He's got a big job to do.
Well, Shiv, this is one side of course, as we say, the facts are presented. The key point here is there is an over-centralization vis-a-vis Mr. Rahul Gandhi as a political leader of the Congress. Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, as we understand, is the Congress president. He has a full-fledged office and all that. But any leader who's coming from any part of the country would not get a kind of attention or satisfaction after meeting Mr. Kharge or any other office bearer. Therefore, in all district Congress presidents, and I'm saying it with a degree of seriousness, are appointed in the name of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So if a district president is appointed, in the name of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, then every aspirant needs to get in touch with him and gets, his ear and a time with him. It's not a kind of, social call on. So when there is so much of over-centralization, the one person who decides everything, Mr. K.C. Venugopal, who's the General Secretary in charge of organization, would meet only if he thinks that, he is well disposed towards Rahul Gandhi. There's a lot of internal politics. So therefore, this is not a time what it was when Ahmed Patel was in thick of things.
Yeah.
So he was acting as a gatekeeper, but he would allow a lot of people to meet. So people had no problem having access to Ahmed Patel. Now today there is access to problem with Mr. K.C. Venugopal also, and therefore it's a web. And people are looking for offices, posts, privileges, positions, and which they're not getting. And therefore, they are saying this, that there is no access, etc. And I think Mr. T.S. Singh Deo knows this very well, being a senior and seasoned leader.
Yeah. There is a saying, I think it was in one of Rasheed's books, that there are only two things that unite everyone in the Congress. One is the Gandhis and the other is the scent of power. You have the Gandhis. The scent of power has been absent for a very long time. But Tuhin, would you want to say something in response to what Mr. Deo said, which is like, get off Rahul Gandhi's back. You can't be blaming him for everything, whereas all of these leaders are taking Rahul Gandhi's name specifically.
Well, Mr. Deo, for obvious reasons, is being too kind to Rahul Gandhi, because when he says Rahul Gandhi has loads of work and he's traveling to his constituency, I'm sure you would have the data how many times does he visit his constituency? We are all aware of it. Also the point is he's an absentee leader. Imagine right on the eve of the vice presidential elections in September, when I'm sure even forget, Congress party, even other, opposition parties would have wanted him to be there for discussions. Where was he? He was holidaying somewhere in, perhaps Malaysia. On the eve of Bihar election, he disappears for 2 weeks, to be in Colombia, which is the grouse of Shakil Ahmed. And then when the parliament session is going on, and one important week when the Congress party is trying to grill the government, he disappears in some woke gathering to address some woke gathering in Germany. So, this pattern of disappearing is also a big issue. One of the reasons for him to become inaccessible, perhaps, his priorities are something very different. We don't know. Mysterious priorities, I would say.
Do you think there's any onus at all, any corrective measures, Akriti, that need to be taken from Rahul Gandhi's side? Because see, the knife cuts both ways. You've got all of these people saying there's too much centralization. The other side of this is that all of this is finally Rahul Gandhi's call. He's the only one who's going to sort things out. We have seen Mallikarjun Kharge, despite being the president of the party, repeatedly say the High Command will decide, or Rahul Gandhi will decide, or Sonia ji will decide. There is no mistake, there is no accidental misapprehension as to who is calling the shots in the Congress party. Ultimately, it will be Rahul who will have to sort all this out. Do you think he needs to course correct anywhere?
Rahul ji would get the flag and the credit. Because his name is there, the most in front.
Mr. Deo, that was for Akriti. I'm just coming to you, sir. I'm just coming to you. That was for Akriti. I'm coming to you after this.
Shiv, I said that the course correction is very important for any party and any leader. So definitely, whether it's on the question of organizational restructuring or it's in terms of communications improvement, in terms of accessibility for other leaders, yes, there's room for improvement in all of this. But saying that he's absent, I think from Bharat Jodo Yatra onwards, he has been pretty visible. He has been raising immense issues of national importance, whether it's about the youth, students, workers and all. He's constantly present on the streets, doing interactions and consultative meetings, also visiting various his constituencies. And with respect to him being only the one calling the shots, I again disagree, because again, sometimes this is projected as a rivalry between Rahul and Priyanka, but we know that there is a very fine-tuned collective leadership that we see, where parliamentary and organizational affairs are being handled by Priyanka Gandhiji, and Rahul ji is handling again issues of narrative and how economy and institutional trust. And there are many things that we can't say that they're either absent or silent in any way. But yes, there are many things where the Congress needs to very strongly step up with respect to electoral
the latest test,
management and organizational restructuring.
In any democracy, the only barometer for readiness and performance is an election. You know, unfortunately or fortunately, that is the only litmus test we have to see whether a party is battle ready, whether it has learnt its lessons, whether it has fixed its organizational issues on the ground or not. And we have in front of us big elections, Akriti. Mr. Deo, so I want to ask you as a final word to you and to Rasheed. First to you, Mr. Deo. Does it look like the Congress is battle ready going into these elections? Have there been adequate changes to the organization in all these states going into elections this year, sir?
The Congress has initiated the process of what they have termed Sangathan Srijan, which is the nomination of district presidents through a process of screening, where very senior party leaders, even up to the level of erstwhile central ministers, have been asked to go to a district or maybe an adjoining smaller, another district, 2 districts at most, and review the situation on the ground, meet as many people as possible, give a feedback, take the feedback from senior leaders also, take the feedback from state secretaries and state general secretaries in charge, and then come to a decision. Let us say take a panel of 6 at least must be given. So no favoritism that only one person goes, he gives one name, etc., etc. So you asked about what is being done. This is being done, has been done. Tamil Nadu is going to the elections. I was in Tamil Nadu a couple of days back, and Congress district presidents had been announced. So similar process is going on throughout the country. 4 more states have just nominated their Sangathan Srijan nominees. Uttar Pradesh, and I think Mizoram and Nagaland, and another state. 4 states have just nominated.
Yeah. Okay.
Then below this, the Mandal, a grouping of, let us say, 10 to 20 polling booths, which was decided upon during the Udaipur Chintan Shivir. That is put into now practical practice, included in the Congress constitution as the body between the polling booth and the block Congress committee, and those nominations are being done. So to strengthen the reach of the party up to the polling booth and the All India Congress committee are polling booth president and Mr. Khadge. So in between, you have the AICC, you have the general secretary, you have the secretary, then you have the state PCC president, you have the state body, you have the district Congress committee and its body, you have the block Congress in its body, and now you have the Mandal Congress committee.
Rasheed, I'll give you the last word on this. You know, it's nice to hear these details about the organizational revival of the Congress at the grassroots level. And those are very specific details given by Mr. Deo. How is it looking like to you? Because it seems like with each passing election, you know, organizational decay, organizational atrophy continues to be one of the things that is blamed, and it doesn't seem like the Congress is able to catch up and build a full battle-ready machine. How is it looking for 2026?
Yeah, so Shiv, I think as far as the organizational changes or efforts, this is a case of too little, too late, and I would say inconsequential, because ultimately it is actually the traction, and that is where I think the central point of your debate, this ranting and the dissent from the Muslim leaders, is going to be quite inconsequential in this 5 state assembly elections, because the Muslim voters have a line or looks up to, let's say, Gaurav Gogoi in Assam, DMK, MK Stalin, Mamata Banerjee, that kind of thing. So the Congress has, lives to, hope for a better performance as far as the opposition camp is concerned. So it is not that the Muslim leaders are disgruntled, so Muslim voters are going to turn away from Congress. That's the only silver lining for the party. Okay, very, very interesting. And, there is nothing better than a good fight in any election. And that's what all Indian citizens should want and hope for. We at NDTV will be reporting without fear or favor across all of these states. Thank you very much, Mr. Deo. Very good to have someone senior like you give us insight into the inner workings of the Congress. Doesn't happen very often. So appreciate your time tonight on India Matters. Rasheed, Tuhin and Akriti, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for being with me tonight.